Have you ever had people in your life that for whatever reason just don't seem to understand what your expectations are, don't seem to be able to follow through in the way that you want, aren't able to meet what you thought was stated clearly that both of you were going to do this in order to succeed, and they are not able to follow through on their end of the bargain? I'm here today to tell you there's a huge missing link that you can take charge of, and you can make sure that happens less in your life and have people meet your expectations every time. Welcome to the next 24 hours, where I'm going to give you real information you can really use to transform your life and work one day at a time. I'll be your host, Curtis Zimmerman. Well, hey everybody, it's Curtis. Excited that you're here, and I'm excited to share this kind of inner circle story. And we all have an inner circle, and the inner circle is basically when you think about casting your show wisely, and you think about the 6 or 8 people you surround yourself with. I have to be honest, what's so interesting for me is that when you meet master connectors and you meet super interesting people, what I've realized is the more you hang out with them, the more other super interesting and super amazing people they know. So they're connectors to other people like them. Creative people are around amazing creative people. So the more you want to learn a certain skill, the more you want to learn a certain way of business or a certain way of dealing with people, be around those people that have mastered that. So I share that first because I have to talk to you about this guy. His name's Jody Lawrence. And I've known Jody now for years. He's a good friend. I consider him a brother. And he saw my program years ago. He worked for a large credit card company. He wasn't that happy. And, he kind of made some transformations in his life and did some of the things we talk about, writing your script and casting your show and being the director. And so through all those changes, one of the things he ended up is he landed in Las Vegas, and that's where his career was. And he worked with a lot of the larger brands as far as the hotels and the restaurants. Based on his business, he dealt with those people every day. And so Jody's brought me out several times to come and speak to some of those venues and different people he works with. So on this certain occasion, the one I can't wait to tell you about, he had a dinner the night that I arrived, and he had a bunch of his friends at the dinner. And he introduced me to them, and this person owns these restaurants here in Las Vegas, and this person manages this amazing restaurant. And one of the people was the general manager of the Wynn Hotel. And his name was Brian. And Brian was an amazing guy, just, such a great personality and really a great listener. And one of those people, as we all went around the table and kind of shared stories, he was focused on every single person. His communication, just by listening, I just really appreciated. And then we started talking a little bit about what I used to do in magic, and his eyes kind of lit up a little bit. He loved magic. So I did some magic, and I did some coin tricks, and I moved a fork on the table with my mind, and the standard stuff. And he threw something out as it got later in the evening. He had to do a quick email. Excuse me, I have to do a quick email because I have to share my expectations with my team, and I have to get this out tonight because I've been doing it every day for the last, I think he said, like 6 or 7 years. And I kind of froze. I totally froze. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know you. We just met an hour and a half ago, but would you just say that one more time? And he said, yeah, well, I'm sending out this email to my team, which, remember, he's at the Wynn Hotel. Now, the Wynn Hotel is, in my opinion, by far the nicest and the best customer service, and the best of everything is at the Wynn Hotel. To give you just a little bit of the mindset behind that, prior to working at the Wynn Hotel, he worked at this little hotel called the Ritz-Carlton, and everything is about quality. Everything is about customer service. So they stole him away to come and bring that to the Wynn, which he did in spades. And it's because of the story I'm telling you right now. Every single day since he started there, however many years ago, he sends out a brief little 3-paragraph, here's what's going on tomorrow. Here's what I'm going to be focused on, and here's what my expectations are. Here's what's happening in Las Vegas. This large show is coming in, and there are going to be tens of thousands of people for this huge seminar, and we need to be focused on their wants, their needs, and understand what they're in town for. Whatever it is, every single day, he doesn't care if he's on vacation. He doesn't care if it's the weekend. He doesn't care if it's his anniversary. He lets them know his expectations and what he thinks everyone at the Wynn Hotel should be focused on. And it doesn't matter if you're a manager. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning the rooms. It doesn't matter if you're working the floor. Everybody gets the email. So when you see him, there's no doubt what's going on and what he's thinking. You know, he communicates that every single day. And I have to tell you how much I struggle with getting leaders of major organizations and billion-dollar brands to send one email a month to their people. Just getting people to send out an email a month to say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening in our company. Here's what our numbers look like. Here's my expectations of what we're dealing with. I cannot get people to do that. And he does it every single day for years on end. I can't tell you how important it, my head explodes when I think about it, because I want you to think about that and now go myopic. Think about, do you do that in your relationships? Do you do that in your marriage? Do you do that with your son, your daughter? Do you do that with a friend? And what I'm here to tell you is our expectations, I love this idea of how did you get this woman to marry you? Well, all you did for like 5 years, we call it courting, all you did was focus on her and make her the whole world, and everything she did was like amazing, and you focus on her, and that's how you talked her into marrying you. And you had expectations going in, and she had expectations going into that relationship. I love this one. This is just a sidebar, but you're going to love it. Ready? Listen, when you get married, you marry her for who she is. She marries you for your potential. I'm sorry. I just think that's hysterical because it's so true. But also, I want you to know it's because we have expectations, and we have to be clear and deliberate in sharing those expectations with one another. And as our relationship changes, and as your job description changes, your expectations and your expectations of your people also change. And when they're not giving what you want, or you're not giving them what they want, oftentimes it isn't because neither one of you are trying. It's that you're not clearly stating every day what your expectation is. They're not mind readers. Take the time to tell the people that you lead, to tell the people that you love, to tell the people that you want to build a deeper relationship with where you are today, what's important to you today, and what you're going to be focusing on the next 24 hours. It's as simple as that. We try to make leadership hard. We try to make it this big thing. Be clear in your expectations. Be clear in what you're looking for. And I'm telling you, people will clearly come through in a new way for you. I have to be honest with you. This isn't something that I just experience out there. This is something I experience in my own career. This is something we've experienced in our office. And that is, we can have a great time at my program, and we can get people fired up, and people can be on the chair screaming, I'm living the dream. But how do we keep that message alive? How do we keep that excitement and that drive to write the next chapter alive 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later? And that's the challenge. And it's only by doing something that reminds people of where we're going. It's by talking to them. And it doesn't have to be a long communication of 17 pages or this huge blog post or this, So that's what we did. We have the keynote speech, and now after the keynote speech, we have these really short little videos. Hey, it's Curtis. Remember, we talked about X. If you want to succeed, you have to drop the ball. We call it innovation. We call it growing and changing and becoming. So just by putting those little messages out every other day, maybe 3 times a week, that keeps the message alive. I'm telling you right now, as you listen to this, that's the same thing in your relationships. That's the same thing in your life. You can't sit down with your son or daughter one time and tell them what your expectations are and expect them to do it for the rest of their life. It doesn't work that way. That's why we learned so much from Brian at the Wynn Hotel. He took 5 minutes, just 5 minutes every day, and just told people what he was excited about, what they're working on, and let's go out and make it happen together. That's what I'm challenging you to do. Who right now in your life is not meeting your expectations? Who right now at work isn't doing what you want? Who right now in your relationship is just not getting what you need? Maybe it's time for you to sit down and tell them really what your expectations are and how they may have changed. Now, let's remember, once you've done this and you've taken the time to clearly communicate to your child, to your employee, to your spouse, what your expectations are, and listen to their expectations as well, and then you move down the path, if they're not meeting those expectations still, and you've kept communicating that, I have to be honest with you, there comes a point where you may need to give that person fewer lines. You may need to understand it doesn't matter. They do know your expectations and they just don't care enough. They're not going to make it happen. And that's another part of the equation. Today, I want you to focus on this, and that is making sure you're communicating every day in a way that reaches more people. Let's do that first, then we'll talk about the ones that still aren't connected. All right, here we go right into the 24-hour challenge. This is what you're going to do to actualize the information you just heard in the next 24 hours. I want you to get your phone out. I want you to set an alarm that's going to repeat, and it's going to be every Sunday, maybe every Saturday, just depending on who you are and what your kind of lifestyle is. But I want it to repeat in the evening, and you can write a note, believe it or not, on alarms. You can go in and you can write a little note, and I want it to just read the word expectations. I want you to set it up in the next 24 hours, and every Sunday that turns on, I want you to think about your life and the people in your life and how you need to share your expectations with them. Who is it that I need to send a quick text message? Who is it that I need to maybe send out an email? Who is it at work that I need to communicate with differently? Specifically in your expectations in order to make the next 24 hours count. Do it now. Hey, thank you for listening to the next 24 hours. It would mean a lot to me if you found this content today valuable, that you share it with your friends. Leave me a review. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about what I do, it's really simple. Just go to curtiszimmerman.com. Remember, in order to live the dream, you have to make the next 24 hours count. The clock is ticking.